As the second scene of the first act begins, Edmund enters and speaks a soliloquy. He opens his mind to himself, addressing nature as his goddess to whom he is bound to give his services. In the soliloquy, you can see that Edmund compares and weighs the state of a legitimate and an illegitimate child. Here we can see what exactly he feels about being considered as the illegitimate child of the Earl of Gloucester, how the society considers him, and how he feels sick of all those social customs that privilege natural children, legal or legitimate children, versus illegitimate children. The legal legitimate children were privileged to get the inheritance of the father, whereas the illegitimate child was left with nothing. Now he compares and asks himself, why is he considered inferior to the legitimate child of Earl of Gloucester, that is Edgar? Edgar is the legitimate child of Gloucester who was born out of wedlock. Edmund is the illegitimate child who was born of an extramarital relationship of Gloucester. Now, Edmund wonders, what is it that he lacks? Does he lack a good posture? Does he lack any dimensions? Isn't he well compact and fit body-wise? And isn't he generous in his mind just like any child born out of pure marriage? In line 10, we can see a few words that alliterate the sound b. Why brand they us with base, with baseness, bastardy, base? So he comments upon the branding that society makes upon bastard children as inferior and base. Illegitimate children are not considered to be worthy of living at all. From line 11 onwards, Edmund makes a comparison between the sexual relationship of a married couple and that of an extramarital relationship. Shakespeare as a person himself is skeptical of wedlock, and that can be seen here where he mentions the marriage bed as dull, stale and tired bed, which creates a whole tribe of fops, FOPS means dupes, between asleep and awake. Meaning there is no fun or enjoyment involved in the procreation of the next generation when it comes to the marriage bed. Whereas in the case of an extramarital relationship, there is lust involved and more fierceness and interest involved. And so the children are more worthy of attention. But what happens is illegitimate children are branded as undeserving the father's attention or the privileges of inheritance. So after line 15 we can see in this soliloquy what is the real intention of Edmund. Legitimate Edgar, I must have your land. Our father's love is to the bastard Edmund as to the legitimate. So he calls Edgar as legitimate because he is the legal son of Gloucester that everybody has accepted. So now he declares to himself that I am going to capture by hook or crook Edgar's land because I have known that our father Gloucester loves you as equally as me. There is no distinction that our father makes between the legitimate Edgar and the illegitimate Edmund. So, in the line 1920 onwards, you can see what is his intention. What is the crooked plan that Edmund is making so that he can get the land which is now currently the inheritance of the legitimate son. So in line 19 you can see, well, my legitimate, if this letter speed and my invention thrive, Edmund the base shall top the legitimate. I grow, I prosper. So you can see that there is a letter in his hands which he intends to trap the legitimate Edgar, so that Edmund the base, the inferior, shall top Edgar the legitimate, whereby he can grow and prosper. So we can finally see as the soliloquy ends that Edmund has a letter in his hands which he intends to trap Edgar. Soon we can see Gloucester enters. He is thinking about what has happened at the king's court. He can't believe that Kent has been banished and the king has left all his powers to his daughters. He has parted with Cordelia and France in very dull spirits. So, what has happened all of a sudden? He is rethinking, wondering what has happened. He cannot believe that King Lear is now only the king for namesake. All the powers have been lost. And now, as he sees Edmund standing there, he asks him, is there any news? So Edmund says that there is no news to say. And quickly, what does he do? There is a gesture of hiding something in his pocket. So, what is Edmund doing? He has the letter in his hands and intentionally he hides it in his pocket so that he wants Gloucester to see that. Naturally, Gloucester sees him do this and asks him, what is it that you're hiding from me? Show me. So he says that there is nothing special. It's just a letter from my brother that I have not fully read. So, because the hiding gesture was involved, Gloucester understands that there is something fishy. So, he asks Edmund to give the letter to him. But Edmund says that he is afraid. He does not want to give the letter because the contents are not good. Here you can see that Edmund is trying very hard to justify his brother in the conversation as if some misunderstanding has happened. It must not be from his brother. Anyway, Gloucester snatches the letter from Edmund and starts reading. So around line 50, Gloucester reads the letter. It is given in italics, where the letter says that respecting age, meaning respecting older people, makes the world bitter for a young man, because the old man keeps his fortunes, and by the time it is passed to the next generation loses his youth and becomes old. So the letter says, I begin to find an idle and fond bondage in the oppression of aged tyranny. So aged tyranny, old age here refers to Gloucester, and youth here means Edgar, waiting for the old generation to pass on the inheritance to the young age is usually after the old man's death, and by that time the next generation turns old and I can't wait anymore. And the letter proceeds that he does not want to speak more of it in the letter and asks Edmund to meet him as soon as possible so that he may enjoy half his revenue forever. With love, your brother Edgar. This is the letter. So, in the few lines, the letter says, supposed to be from Edgar, the letter says that old age is tyranny and the weight is tormenting. So I have some plans to do. Edmund, if you stay with me, if you do things in my favor, I offer half of the revenue to you. Meet me as soon as possible. That is the letter. Naturally, Gloucester has understood that there is a conspiracy involved and that Edgar is plotting against him. He is heartbroken. In lines 58, he says, "My son Edgar, had he a hand to write this? A heart and a brain to breed it in?" So Edmund says that I'm not sure whether it has been written by Edgar because the letter was found in my room. It was just found in my room. Nobody gave it to me. And then Gloucester asks him whether the handwriting is of Edgar's itself. So Edmund says that the handwriting is his, but the matter cannot be from him. So Edmund is gaining Gloucester's confidence in justifying Edgar. And Gloucester asks him, "Have you ever heard of such an intention from Edgar's mouth before? Did he give you any hint of what he is doing right now earlier?" So Edmund says, "I have never heard of such a plan before, but around in line 71, I have heard him oft maintain it to be fit that sons at perfect age and fathers declined, the father should be as ward to the son, and the son manage his revenue." So what does he say to Gloucester? "I have not heard of any intention or a crooked plan in Edgar before, but I have heard Edgar say before that fathers should decline from their privileges once they become old and entrust the power on the younger generation, the sons, because that is the perfect age for wielding power. And afterwards, the father should remain loyal and inferior to the son, and the son should manage all the monetary matters, all the revenue." So, with this remark, Gloucester is enraged. In the next lines, we can see he calls him a villain, an abhorred villain, unnatural, detested, brutish villain, worse than brutish. Okay, so here he calls him unnatural. Okay, not natural to be expected from a natural son. Who is the natural son? The legitimate legal son. Who is the unnatural son? The illegal, illegitimate son from an extramarital relationship. So now the natural son, Edgar, is behaving like an unnatural son. It is not expected from a legal child to be trying to snatch away the inheritance from the father. That is something that is unnatural. So you can see a play with the word natural, unnatural, whereby Gloucester calls his natural son as unnatural. Again, listening to this, Edmund says to his father to wait a bit because it must be a misunderstanding and he does not want to stain his honor. And Edmund says that he is ready to sacrifice his own life for Edgar because he does not want any danger to happen to Gloucester. Now, you can imagine Gloucester has been really impressed because his unnatural son, his illegitimate son Edmund, is now proclaiming his loyalty towards him. So Gloucester asks him to tell whenever he finds Edgar, please let him know, make a plan so that he can be dealt with properly. So Edmund says that he will seek Edgar and let him know the information.